Welcome to Norway Perspectives, brought to you by Norway Relocation Group. In today's episode, we are going to talk about money, but not in the way you might think. We're not talking about investing or saving, but about something far more fundamental. We're going to discuss the very infrastructure of your financial life in Norway, a system that touches everything you do, every single day. We are talking about banking. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Banking? How complicated can it be? It's a simple service. You open an account, you get a card, you pay your bills. But if you have spent any time in Norway as a newcomer, you already know the truth. It is anything but simple. Opening that first bank account, receiving your salary, paying your rent, understanding an invoice, setting up a direct debit, applying for a home loan, and even activating your core digital identity. All of these things run through the Norwegian banking system. And what most newcomers discover, often through frustrating trial and error, is that banking here is not just a private service. It is deeply, inextricably linked to your legal identity, your tax status, your creditworthiness, and even your immigration journey. Mistakes that seem small elsewhere, like trying to open an account with incomplete paperwork, not understanding how to pay an invoice correctly, or failing to grasp the importance of your digital ID, can have cascading consequences in Norway. They can block your access to jobs, housing, and essential public services, creating invisible walls that leave you feeling stuck and confused. So today we are going on an in-depth journey. We are going to build a complete map of the Norwegian banking landscape for you. We will explain why opening a bank account as a newcomer is often a slow and difficult process and what is legally required. The critical difference between a temporary D number and a permanent national ID number, and how it impacts your financial life. What BankID is, why it is far more than just a banking tool, and what happens to your life in Norway when you don't have it. The anatomy of the Norwegian payment system, how invoices, due dates, and KID numbers work, and the serious consequences of getting it wrong. The downward spiral of late payments, from reminders and fees to debt collection or inkasso, and the long-term damage to your credit future. And finally, we will connect all of these dots, showing how your banking habits are monitored and how they can directly affect your ability to get a loan, rent an apartment, and even secure your long-term residence permit. Let's begin with the very first hurdle that almost every newcomer faces. A frustrating paradox that can define your first few months in the country. Opening a bank account is not immediate, and it is not guaranteed. In many countries, opening a bank account is a simple customer service transaction. You walk into a branch, show some identification, and walk out with an account number. It can take less than an hour. If that is your expectation in Norway, you will be met with a starkly different reality. Here, opening a bank account is not treated as a simple service. It is treated as a formal, legal process governed by strict national and international laws. Norwegian banks are legally obligated, under stringent anti-money laundering legislation, to know their customer. This means they have a legal duty to verify who you are, where you live, where your money comes from, and why you need an account. They are not just being difficult, they are following the law, and the penalties for non-compliance are severe. This is why, when you apply to open an account, the bank has the legal right and obligation to demand a comprehensive set of documents. This typically includes a valid residence permit, not just a visa in your passport, but the official residence card, proving you have a legal right to stay in the country. A Norwegian identity number. This is a crucial point. For your first few months, you will likely be issued a temporary D number. While some banks may open a basic account with a D number, many will only offer full services, including the all-important BankID, once you have been issued a permanent national ID number, the fødselsnummer. This number signifies a more permanent connection to Norway, proof of a permanent address. A formal rental contract or a document from the National Registry is required. The bank needs to know where you live. Documentation of your tax residency. They need to know where you are legally obligated to pay taxes. A stated purpose for the account. This usually means an employment contract. The bank needs to see that you have a legitimate reason, like receiving a salary, to open an account. If you are missing any one of these pieces, if your residence permit is still being processed, if you only have a temporary D number, or if you don't yet have a job contract, the bank is likely to either reject your application outright or place it on hold. This creates the classic newcomers chicken and egg problem. You need a bank account to sign a rental contract, but you need a rental contract to get a bank account. You need a bank account to get paid by your employer, but the bank wants to see an employment contract before they will open one. This isn't just a minor inconvenience. It can bring your entire relocation to a standstill for weeks or even months. Without a Norwegian bank account, you cannot receive your salary, pay your rent and bills digitally, apply for a loan, or use popular payment apps like Vipps. But most importantly, you are locked out of the single most important tool for modern life in Norway, BankID. Let's dedicate some serious time to this, because if you understand one thing from this episode, it should be this. BankID is not just for banking, it is your digital life. BankID is a personal and legally binding electronic identification system issued by Norwegian banks. While your bank provides it, its use extends far beyond financial services. It is the national standard for high-security login and digital signatures. Think of it not as a banking app, but as your digital passport, your driver's license, and your handwritten signature all rolled into one secure package. With your BankID, you can log into all public services, including the tax administration, Skatteetaten, the public health portal, Helsenorge, the national digital mailbox, Digipost, and the Labor and Welfare Administration, NAV. Sign legal documents with the same authority as signing with pen and paper. This includes your employment contract, your rental agreement, and even the deed to a house. Apply for a mortgage, a car loan, or a credit card online. Register your children for school or daycare. View your complete medical records and book appointments with your doctor. Bid on cars or properties in online auctions. Access your pension statements and manage your investments. Life without BankID is life in the digital slow lane. You are effectively cut off from the primary way Norwegian society functions. But here is the critical problem for newcomers. You cannot get BankID until you have a fully operational Norwegian bank account, and, in most cases, a permanent national ID number. The delay in getting this digital key can have profound consequences. We have worked with newcomers who lost their preferred apartment because another applicant could sign the contract instantly with BankID, while they were stuck waiting. We have seen people unable to file their first tax return correctly or access important health information because they couldn't log in. The frustration is immense. It's a feeling of being on the outside looking in, locked out of a society that runs on a system you haven't been given access to yet. Now, let's assume you've cleared these initial hurdles. You have your account and you have your BankID. The next challenge is learning the specific language and structure of the Norwegian payment system. Every official invoice or factura you receive in Norway for your electricity, your mobile phone, your internet, your daycare fees is a highly structured document. It will always contain 3 key pieces of information: a bank account number to pay to, a due date or forfallsdato, and often a long number called a KID number. This KID number is a unique payment identifier. It's a code that tells the recipient's automated accounting system exactly who has paid and for which specific invoice. This makes the system incredibly efficient for businesses, but it is rigid and unforgiving for the user. If you make a mistake, if you pay the bill but forget to include the KID number, if you miss the due date by even 1 day, if you accidentally pay the wrong amount, or if you simply ignore the invoice, the system will react automatically. First, you will likely receive a reminder, a purring, in your digital mailbox. This reminder will now include a late fee, a purrigebyr. It's a small penalty, but it's a warning shot. If you ignore the reminder, the situation escalates. You will then receive a formal debt collection warning, an inkasso varsel. This is a legal notice stating that if the bill is not paid within 14 days, your case will be handed over to a private debt collection agency, an inkasso company. This is where things get truly serious. Once a case goes to inkasso, the original amount you owed can balloon with significant collection fees. But the financial cost is only part of the problem. More importantly, an unpaid inkasso case will lead to a negative mark on your credit record, a betalingsanmerkning. This black mark is a public record of your payment default. It follows you for years and makes your financial life incredibly difficult. With a betalingsanmerkning, you will find it nearly impossible to get a mobile phone subscription, to be approved for a rental apartment from a professional agency, to get a credit card, or to secure any kind of loan, from a car loan to a mortgage. You become a financial pariah. Many newcomers fall into this trap because they don't understand the seriousness of the letters they receive. They arrive digitally, they are written in formal Norwegian, and it can be easy to mistake a critical inkasso varsel for junk mail. But ignorance of the system is not a defense, and the consequences are long-lasting and severe. This brings us to another critical area: the responsible use of your bank account and what your behavior signals to the authorities. In a highly digital and transparent society like Norway, your bank account is not a private black box. It is a record of your economic life, a record that is monitored. Some newcomers may be tempted to operate outside the system. They might continue using foreign bank accounts to receive payments, hoping to avoid Norwegian taxes. They might engage in cash transactions for work, or use a family member's account to run a small business. This is exceptionally risky. The Norwegian Tax Administration and the Financial Supervisory Authority have sophisticated systems for detecting unusual financial activity. Moving large sums of money between countries, having an income that doesn't match your declared tax information, or using personal accounts for undeclared business activities can trigger an audit. The consequences can range from account closure and denied loan applications to severe tax penalties. And for those on temporary residence permits, the implications can be even more dire. If you are in Norway on a skilled worker permit, for example, your right to be here is tied to your employment. If a financial audit uncovers irregularities that cast doubt on the legitimacy of your employment or income, it could directly jeopardize the renewal of your permit. Financial misconduct is not just a financial issue. It's an immigration issue. This relates to another concept that is often new to people moving here, the idea of a credit history. When you first arrive in Norway, you are a blank slate. You have no credit history. This is normal. But if you don't actively start building a positive financial record, you will face challenges later on. Every time you pay a bill on time, you are building a positive record. Every time you manage your finances responsibly, you are proving your reliability. This record is what banks, landlords, and other institutions look at when they perform a credit check. They are assessing risk. Are you a reliable person to lend money to? Are you a tenant who will pay their rent on time? A clean credit history is your ticket to a normal financial life. It's what allows you to get a mortgage, to buy your dream home, to finance a car, or simply to get a new phone contract without having to pay a large deposit. Building this history starts from day one, with the very first bill you receive. Paying on time, every time, is one of the most important habits you can develop in Norway. And this is how all of these seemingly separate pieces, opening an account, getting BankID, paying your bills, building a credit history, connect to the biggest picture of all, your long-term integration and your legal status in the country. In Norway, the systems are all interconnected. Your financial data is linked to your tax data, which is linked to your residency data. A problem in one area can create a fire in another. We have worked with newcomers who were denied permanent residency because their bank records did not adequately prove they could financially support themselves. We have seen family reunification applications delayed for months because the sponsor in Norway couldn't get their own financial house in order, We've witnessed work permit renewals come under scrutiny because of unexplained foreign transactions or inconsistent salary payments flagged by the bank's reporting system. These were not people trying to cheat the system. They were people who were simply unaware of what their banking activities signified in a high-trust, high-transparency digital welfare state like Norway. They treated their bank account like a simple private tool, failing to understand that it is also a public record of their compliance and stability. So let's bring this all to a conclusion. Banking in Norway is not just a private consumer activity, it is a public utility, the fundamental infrastructure for your entire life. Your Norwegian bank account is your access point to everything else. It is the record of your participation in the economy. It is the primary way you demonstrate legal compliance and financial stability. And it is, whether we like it or not, a key way you are judged, financially, digitally, and socially, by every system you interact with in this country. Get it right from the very beginning, and the rest of your integration journey becomes exponentially smoother. Get it wrong, and you will find yourself facing invisible walls and frustrating roadblocks at every turn. At Norway Relocation Group, we specialize in helping newcomers navigate this critical first step. We provide expert guidance on the documentation needed to open a bank account, assistance in applying for BankID, and strategic advice on how to avoid these common but costly financial mistakes. We help you understand the crucial link between your financial setup and your long-term legal success in Norway. And at our partner school, NLS Norwegian Language School, we teach you the practical language skills you need to manage this new financial life. We teach you how to read an invoice, how to understand a payment notice from an inkasso company, how to confidently respond to messages in your Digipost, and how to speak with banks and tax offices in Norwegian. For hands-on support with your banking and registration setup, you can visit us at norwayrelocation.no. And to build the Norwegian language skills you need for financial life in Norway, you can find our courses at nlsnorwegian.no. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Norwegian banking. Please subscribe and share this episode with anyone you know who is moving to Norway or just starting their financial journey here. The right information at the right time can make all the difference. As always, we'll see you in the next one.